The transport ship docked with a soft hiss at the Galactic Council station. Taman stepped out first, his military boots hitting the metal floor with purpose. His left arm, the cybernetic one, gleamed under the station's bright lights. Behind him, Jiwoo adjusted her diplomatic robes and followed with a tablet in hand. "Remember, we're here to build alliances," Jiwoo said quietly. "The Scorn Horde is coming, and Earth needs friends." Taman nodded. He had fought in enough wars to know that politics mattered as much as weapons. The station buzzed with activity. Aliens of every shape and size moved through the corridors. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few seemed to be made of living light. The council chamber was massive, a circular room with seats rising in tiers, each section reserved for a different species. Taman spotted the human delegation already seated. Hyunwoo gave him a small wave. So-jin, the cultural liaison, smiled nervously. This was humanity's third year in the Galactic Council, and they were still the newcomers. The meeting began with standard procedures. Trade agreements, border disputes, resource allocations. Taman tried to pay attention, but his mind kept drifting to the real threat. The Scorn Horde had destroyed 17 worlds in the past year. If the Council didn't unite soon, they would all fall. Then she entered. The room went quiet. Taman looked up and saw her walking toward the Velrin section. She moved like water, smooth and graceful. Her skin was silver, actually silver, and it seemed to glow with its own light. Her hair floated around her head like strands of crystal, catching the light and splitting it into rainbows. Her eyes were violet, large and expressive. She wore armor, but it looked so delicate, so ornate that it seemed more like jewelry than protection. "Wow," Hyunwoo whispered. "She's beautiful." So-jin leaned forward. "Is that the Velrin commander?" "I read about them. Their whole species looks like that." Taman had to admit it. She was stunning, like something from a painting or a dream. He watched as she took her seat, her movements elegant and precise. The council leader, a massive creature with 6 arms, gestured to the newcomers. "We welcome Commander Kaleth of the Velrin fleet. She joins us to discuss military coordination against the Scorn threat." Kaleth stood. When she spoke, her voice was clear and strong. "Thank you. The Velrin stand ready to defend council space. We have fought the Scorn before and defeated them. We offer our experience and our warriors." Taman was impressed. She spoke with confidence, like someone who had seen real combat, but it was hard to reconcile that voice with her appearance. She looked so delicate, so fragile. Could the Velrin really be warriors? The meeting continued. Battle plans were discussed. Fleet positions debated, supply lines argued over. When it came time for humanity's turn, Jiwoo nudged Taman. "Go on, make a good impression." Taman stood. "Commander Kaleth, humanity welcomes your partnership. We've heard of the Velrin victories, and we're honored to fight alongside such a graceful people." He meant it as a compliment. In human culture, grace was a quality of skilled fighters. But something changed in Kaleth's expression. Her violet eyes narrowed. The room's temperature seemed to drop. "Graceful?" she said. The word came out sharp like a blade. Taman realized his mistake too late. His translator must have converted his words differently. Or maybe graceful meant something else to the Velrin. Kaleth stepped forward down from her section toward the center floor. "The Velrin are not graceful. We are warriors. We have conquered our enemies, defended our worlds, and earned our place through blood and battle. We are not decorations. We are not art. We are soldiers." The chamber erupted. Some species voiced support for Kaleth. Others defended the humans, saying it was just a translation error. The 6-armed council leader banged a gavel that sounded like thunder. "Order. We will have order." But Kaleth wasn't finished. She pointed at Taman. "You look at me and see something adorable. Something pretty. You cannot imagine that I have killed, that I have led armies, that I have earned my rank through combat. This is the problem with your species. You judge by appearance." Taman felt his face flush. "I didn't mean—" "You meant exactly what you said," Kaleth interrupted. "I challenge you. In the arena. Combat trial. Let us see if you still think the Velrin are graceful when I defeat you." The room went silent. A combat trial was serious. It was binding. If Taman refused, it would dishonor humanity and possibly break the alliance before it even began. If he accepted, he might offend the Velrin further by beating their commander. Or worse, he might lose badly and prove humanity was weak. Jiwoo grabbed his arm. "Taman, wait. We can talk about this." But Kaleth was already walking toward the exit. "Tomorrow." Dawn cycle. The arena. Be there or be known as cowards. Her delegation followed her out. The crystal hair, the silver skin, the delicate features. But now Taman saw something else in the way she moved. It wasn't just grace. It was the walk of a predator. How had he missed it? After the meeting ended, the human delegation gathered in their quarters. Hyunwoo paced back and forth. Sojin pulled up every file she could find on the Velrin. Jiwoo sat with her head in her hands. "This is a disaster," Jiwoo said. "We came here to make friends, and now we're fighting them." Taemin studied the report Sojin displayed on the screen. The Velrin had a long military history. They had repelled invasions from 3 different empires. Their win record was impressive. Very impressive. "There's not much data on their combat style," Sojin said. "Most species underestimate them at first. By the time they realize their mistake, it's too late." "Why do they look like that?" Hyunwoo asked. "If they're warriors, why look so beautiful?" Sojin finished. "Evolution. Their homeworld had low gravity and high radiation. The appearance is a side effect, but it's caused them problems for thousands of years. Other species capture them, keep them as prizes, refuse to take them seriously." Taemin understood now. Kaleth wasn't just angry about his comment. She was angry about a lifetime of being dismissed, underestimated, and judged by her appearance. "I have to fight her," Taemin said. "There's no way around it. Can you win?" Jiwoo asked. Taemin looked at the combat records again. The numbers didn't look good, but he had survived worse odds before. "I don't know, but I'm going to try." That night, Taemin couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Kaleth's eyes when she challenged him. There was fury there, yes, but also pain. How many times had she proven herself, only to have someone else make the same mistake? He went to the observation deck. The stars stretched out in every direction, beautiful and cold. Somewhere out there the Scorn Horde was coming, and here he was, about to fight the very people he needed as allies. "Stupid," he muttered to himself. So stupid. Tomorrow would come too quickly. And when it did, he would face Kaleth in the arena. He just hoped they both survived it because the real enemy was still approaching. Dawn came too fast. Taemin stood in the preparation room adjacent to the arena, checking his armor. Standard combat gear, reinforced plates over the vital areas, his cybernetic arm fully charged. Dayun, the intelligence officer, stood nearby with a tablet showing everything she had learned about Velrin combat. "It's not good," Dayun said bluntly. "Their bones are crystalline, nearly impossible to break. Their reflexes are 3 times faster than human normal. And they have something called psionic combat sense. They can predict movements before they happen." "Anything useful?" Taemin asked, adjusting his helmet. Dayun hesitated. "They fight with precision. Everything is calculated, measured, perfect. Their combat style is about flawless execution. So they're predictable? Don't count on it." "Predictable doesn't mean weak." Dayun put the tablet down. "Taemin, you can still back out. Say it was a cultural misunderstanding. Apologize formally, and look weak. The alliance would crumble." Taemin shook his head. "Besides, she deserves this fight. I insulted her without meaning to. The least I can do is face her properly." Jiwoo entered the room looking tired. She hadn't slept either. "The entire council is watching. This isn't just about you and Kaleth anymore. Every species will judge humanity based on how you perform." "No pressure, then," Taemin said with a weak smile. The door to the arena opened. Sound rushed in. The crowd was enormous. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, representing dozens of species. The arena floor was flat and circular, about 50 meters across. Perfect for close combat. Taemin walked out. The crowd made various noises. Some were clearly cheering. Others sounded like jeering. He couldn't tell which was which. On the opposite side, Kaleth emerged. She wore ceremonial armor now, and Taemin's first thought was that it couldn't possibly offer real protection. It was too thin, too decorative. Patterns of light seemed to flow across its surface. She carried 2 weapons that looked like swords, but they were transparent, made of the same crystal material as her hair. She looked even more delicate than yesterday, like a strong wind could blow her away. Taemin reminded himself of Da-Un's warnings. Don't judge by appearance. That was the whole point of this fight. The council leader's voice boomed across the arena. This is a combat trial between Commander Taemin of Earth and Commander Kaleth of Velrin. The trial ends when one warrior yields or cannot continue. Lethal force is permitted but discouraged. Warriors, are you ready? Ready, Taman called out. Ready, Kalith said. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Begin. Kalith moved first and Taman barely saw it. One moment she was standing 20 meters away. The next she was right in front of him, her crystal blade coming at his throat. He threw himself backward, years of combat instinct saving his life. The blade missed by centimeters. She didn't stop. She flowed forward like water, her movements impossibly smooth. Taman blocked, parried, retreated. Each strike came from a different angle, perfectly placed to exploit any gap in his defense. Her speed was inhuman. No, not inhuman. Just not human. This was what Velryn warriors could do. Taman's cybernetic arm moved faster than his natural reflexes, catching one of her strikes. The crystal blade sparked against metal. For a moment they were locked together. Taman looked into her violet eyes and saw cold focus. She wasn't angry anymore. She was working. Then she kicked him in the chest and he flew backward 3 meters. The crowd roared. Taman rolled to his feet, gasping. His armor had absorbed most of the impact, but he felt that. She was stronger than she looked. Much stronger, Kalith advanced again. This time Taman was ready. He feinted left, then rolled right, coming up with his combat knife. He struck at her side, but she twisted away impossibly fast. Her blade came down and he barely blocked it with his armored forearm. The crystal cut into the armor like it was paper. Taman realized he couldn't win a straight fight. She was faster, stronger, and more skilled. He needed to change the rules. He activated his armor's flashbang feature. Bright light exploded between them. Kalith stumbled back, her large eyes momentarily blinded. Taman pressed the advantage, going low, trying to sweep her legs. She jumped over the sweep without looking, her psionic senses guiding her. But Taman had expected that. He was already moving, coming up behind her, his cybernetic arm going for a grapple. For a moment he had her, his metal arm locked around her waist. She felt light, almost weightless. But then she did something with her body, a twist that shouldn't have been possible, and suddenly she was behind him, her blade pressed against his neck. Yield, she said quietly. Taman thought about it. He could yield now. The fight had been good. He'd landed a few hits. Honor would be satisfied, but something in him refused. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was stubbornness. Or maybe it was because he finally understood what this fight meant to her. Not yet, he said. He dropped his full weight suddenly, breaking her hold. His elbow shot back, catching her in the stomach. She grunted, the first sound of pain she'd made. He spun, his knife going for her shoulder, a disabling strike, not a lethal one. She caught his wrist with one hand and her strength was terrifying. Her other blade came up and Taman knew he couldn't block it in time. But she stopped. The blade hovered a centimeter from his throat. They stood there, frozen. Taman's knife at her shoulder, her blade at his throat, both warriors breathing hard, both knowing that one more move would end it. You adapt quickly, Kalith said. For a human. You're faster than anyone I've ever fought, Taman admitted. For a Velryn, something changed in her expression. Not quite a smile, but close. You're not trying to overpower me anymore. Learned that wouldn't work, Taman said. You're stronger than you look. Everything about me is more than it looks, she said. They held the position for another moment. Then, as if by mutual agreement, they both stepped back. Taman lowered his knife. Kalith lowered her blade. The crowd went silent, confused. Was the fight over? Who won? Kalith did something Taman didn't expect. She reversed her grip on one of her crystal swords and offered it to him, handle first. Among my people, she said loudly enough for the arena to hear, warriors offer weapons to those they respect. You fought well. You saw past appearance and recognized reality. You adapted. You learned. These are the marks of a true warrior. Taman understood. This was more than just ending the fight. This was making peace. He took the crystal blade carefully. It was lighter than air in his hand, but he could feel the deadly sharpness. He drew his combat knife and offered it to her. Humanity honors your skill. We were wrong to judge by what we saw. We should have looked deeper. Kalith took the knife. She examined it with genuine interest. Human weapons are direct, honest, like your fighting style. The council leader's voice boomed again. The trial is concluded. Both warriors have shown honor and skill. Let this be recorded as a draw and a new beginning. The crowd erupted. This time Taman could tell it was cheering. Real cheering. As they walked off the arena floor together, Jiwoo rushed up to Taman. That was incredible. You actually held your own against her. Barely, Taman admitted. She was holding back at the end. She could have finished me. Perhaps, Kalith said, overhearing. But you could have struck my shoulder. We both chose to stop. Hyunwoo and Sojin approached with the Velrin delegation. Awkward introductions were made. The tension from yesterday was gone, replaced by cautious respect. Your species is interesting, Kalith said to Taemin as they entered the medical area for post-combat checks. You do not have our speed or strength. Your senses are limited, yet you fight well. Humans are stubborn, Taemin said, and we adapt. It's what we do best. I noticed. You changed your tactics 3 times during our fight, each time learning from what didn't work. She paused. I apologize for my anger yesterday. I have fought my entire life to be seen as a warrior. When you called me graceful, I thought you were dismissing that. I understand now, Taemin said. We have our own struggles. Being new to the galaxy, always having to prove ourselves worthy. Different problems, but similar feelings. Kalith nodded slowly. Perhaps we have more in common than appearance suggests. Later in the council chamber, the mood was different. The human and Velrin delegations sat closer together. When discussions of the Scorn threat resumed, Kalith and Taemin found themselves often in agreement on tactics. Maybe the fight had been necessary after all. Sometimes understanding came through conflict, and now, with the real enemy approaching, they had something they didn't have before. They had respect. 3 days after the arena fight, Taemin received an unexpected message. Kalith wanted to meet him in the training facility, not for combat this time, but for conversation. He found her in one of the smaller rooms watching human soldiers run through combat drills. Her violet eyes tracked every movement with sharp attention. Your warriors train differently than mine, she said without looking at him. There is less coordination, more chaos. Taemin watched his soldiers. Hyunwoo was sparring with 2 others, improvising defenses against unpredictable attacks. We train individuals to think for themselves. In battle, plans fall apart quickly. Soldiers need to adapt on their own. Velrin train as one mind, Kalith said. We connect psionically in combat. Every warrior knows what the others will do. Perfect coordination. That sounds powerful, Taemin admitted. It is, but it requires rigid structure. If the structure breaks, warriors can become lost. She finally looked at him. Your way has advantages. When I fought you, I expected patterns. You gave me chaos. Controlled chaos, Taemin corrected with a slight smile. Over the next week, Kalith visited the human training areas regularly. She watched, asked questions, and occasionally demonstrated Velrin techniques. The human soldiers were intimidated at first. Her beauty was striking, and her reputation as a warrior who had defeated their commander preceded her. But she treated them with respect, and slowly they warmed to her. Taemin, in turn, visited the Velrin sections of the station. He watched their training rituals, which looked more like meditation than combat preparation. Warriors would sit in circles, eyes closed, barely moving, but he could sense something happening beneath the surface, an invisible connection forming between them. We are aligning our thoughts, explained Verath, one of Kalith's senior officers. In battle, we become one organism. Each warrior is a hand of the same body. How do you handle it when warriors are injured or killed? Taemin asked. Verath's expression darkened. It is painful, like losing a part of yourself. The psychic shock can disable nearby warriors. This is our weakness, Taemin understood. Every combat style had strengths and vulnerabilities. The Velrin coordination was incredible, but it made them dependent on maintaining that connection. The council officially assigned Kalith and Taemin as co-commanders of a joint task force. It was unprecedented. Most species kept their military forces separate, but the Scorn threat was too great for traditional approaches. Their first command meeting was awkward. The room held a mix of humans and Velrin officers, and the cultural differences were obvious. Humans sat casually talking and joking. Velrin sat with perfect posture, silent and focused. We need to organize patrol routes for the outer sectors, Taemin said, pulling up a star map. Scorn scouts have been spotted here and here. Velrin ships should take these positions. Kalith indicated several points. We can link our sensor networks across 20 light years. Any intrusion will be detected immediately. That leaves gaps here, Jungi, the human tactical officer, pointed out. If the Scorn come through those areas, they'll be past us before we know it. Then those are not efficient patrol routes, said Nixara. A Velrin officer with particularly luminescent skin. Efficiency isn't everything, countered Hyojin, captain of the human destroyer ship Determination. Sometimes you need to take risks, cover more ground even if it spreads you thin. The argument continued. Velrin wanted perfect coverage with linked forces. Humans wanted flexible positioning with independent units. Both sides had good points, but neither would compromise. Taemin rubbed his temples. This wasn't working. He looked at Kalith, who seemed equally frustrated. Stop, Kalith said quietly, but her voice carried. This is inefficient. We need both approaches, Taemin said, an idea forming. Velrin create the sensor network, the stable foundation. Human ships patrol the gaps independently. When Velrin detect something, they alert the nearest human unit. Human ships respond with speed and flexibility. Kalith tilted her head, considering. Velrin provide the eyes. Humans provide the fist. Exactly. The officers looked at each other. Slowly, nods of agreement. It wasn't perfect, but it could work. After the meeting, Kalith asked Taemin to walk with her. They went to the observation deck where stars filled the massive windows. I need to tell you something, Kalith said. About my people. About why we look as we do. Taemin waited. He sensed this was important. Velrin evolved on a world with low gravity and high stellar radiation. Our crystalline bones developed to handle the radiation. Our appearance, the luminescence, the hair, all adaptations for survival. She paused. But other species don't see survival traits. They see beauty, delicacy, art. And they treat you accordingly, Taemin said. For 3,000 years, Velrin were slaves, captured by stronger species and kept as living decorations. We were in palaces, not as guards, but as ornaments. We were in museums, displayed like statues. Our own combat abilities were suppressed, forbidden, beaten out of us. Taemin felt anger rising. How did you break free? Slowly, over centuries. We learned to fight in secret. We developed our psionic abilities as weapons. And eventually we rebelled. We took our freedom by force. Her eyes met his. But the galaxy still sees us as pretty things. Every species we meet makes the same assumptions. We have to prove ourselves over and over, each time through blood. That's why my comment hurt so much, Taemin said. Yes, but also... She hesitated. You were different after the fight. You truly saw me as a warrior, not as a beautiful warrior or a graceful warrior. Just a warrior. That is rare. Taemin thought about his own experiences. Humans are new to galactic society, only 30 years since first contact. Every species treats us like children, like we don't understand how things work. They dismiss our ideas because we're the newcomers. We have to fight for every bit of respect. Different struggles, Kalith said, but similar pain. Yeah, they stood in silence for a while, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the Scorn Horde was coming. But here, in this moment, two warriors from different worlds had found understanding. Tell me about your cybernetic arm, Kalith said eventually. How did you lose the original? Battle on the colony world Freya 7. Scorn Raider caught me with a plasma weapon. The arm was gone. They grew me a new one, but I chose cybernetics instead. Faster reaction time, stronger grip, built-in tools. You turned a wound into a weapon, Kalith observed. I guess I did. Very human. Over the following days, the joint task force began to come together. Human and Velrin crews trained side by side. It wasn't always smooth. Cultural differences led to misunderstandings. Dong-Hyun, a human engineer, accidentally offended a Velrin technician named Silith by suggesting her maintenance procedures were too slow. Silith responded by completing a repair job in half the expected time, then staring at Dong-Hyun until he apologized. But slowly, respect grew. Dong-Hyun and Silith started working together, combining human innovation with Velrin precision. Yoonji, a human pilot, taught Velrin pilots some aggressive maneuvers. In return, the Velrin taught her their meditation techniques, which improved her focus. The first joint patrol launched with mixed crews. Taemin watched from the station's command center as human and Velrin ships moved in formation. It wasn't perfect coordination, but it was real cooperation. They're doing well, Kalith said beside him. Better than expected, Taemin agreed. The Scorn will not expect this, Kalith continued. They know humans as individual fighters. They know Velrin as coordinated units, but both together, that is new. Let's hope it's enough. Kalith's expression became serious. The main Scorn fleet is larger than anything we've faced before. Even with perfect cooperation, victory is not certain. Then we make our own certainty, Taemin said. We fight smarter, harder, and more together than they expect. Very human indeed, Kalith said. But this time there was warmth in her voice. That night Taemin couldn't sleep again. But this time it wasn't anxiety. It was anticipation. For the first time since arriving at the station, he felt like they had a real chance. Not just to survive the scorn, but to win. And more than that, he'd found something unexpected. A friend, an ally, someone who understood what it meant to be constantly underestimated and constantly proving yourself. The galaxy was about to see what humans and Velrin could do together, and Taemin was ready to show them. The alarm woke everyone at once. Red lights flashed through the station corridors. Taemin was out of bed and in his uniform in 30 seconds, running toward the command center. He arrived at the same time as Kalith, who looked like she hadn't slept at all. Report, Taemin ordered as they entered together. Minseo, the intelligence analyst, looked pale. Scorn Vanguard Fleet. 27 ships. They hit the colony at Outpost Meridian 2 hours ago. The main screen showed the aftermath. Buildings burning. Ships destroyed. The colony had managed to evacuate most civilians, but the Scorn had left nothing standing. How long until they reach Council space? Kalith asked. At current speed? 16 days to prepare for war. It wasn't enough time. It would never be enough time. Activate the task force, Taemin said. All ships, all crews. We deploy now. The joint Human-Velrin task force assembled faster than expected. Months of training and preparation paid off. Ships fell into formation. Mixed crews taking their positions. Taemin and Kalith stood on the bridge of the command ship Unity, watching their fleet come together. 38 ships total, reported Jungi from Tactical. 15 human vessels, 20 Velrin, 3 support craft. We're outnumbered. We're always outnumbered, Taemin muttered. Hyejin, is the determination ready? Ready and eager, came Hyejin's voice over the comm. My crew wants payback for Meridian. Vareth's voice joined from the Velrin cruiser Lightbringer. Our psionic network is established. All Velrin vessels are linked. Human ships report independent operations ready, added Xiong-Ho from the destroyer Thunder. Kalith and Taemin exchanged glances. This was it. Their first real test as co-commanders. All ships, Kalith said into the comm. We move as one force. Velrin will maintain formation and provide tactical coordination. Human vessels will exploit openings and adapt as needed. Trust your partners. Trust your training. And trust yourselves, Taemin added. You're all warriors. Show the Scorn what that means. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. The journey would take 6 hours. 6 hours to finalize plans, to prepare mentally, to make peace with what was coming. Taemin found Kalith in the strategy room studying Scorn battle records. Can't sleep either? He asked. Sleep wastes time, she said without looking up. The Scorn use overwhelming force. They don't plan elaborate strategies. They simply hit hard and fast with superior numbers. Sounds familiar, Taemin said, thinking of humanity's own approach sometimes. But they have a weakness. Their command structure is rigid. Kill the Alpha ship and the others become disorganized. She pulled up a schematic. Here. The Alpha is always the largest vessel, positioned at the center rear of the formation, protected by the entire fleet. Yes, Taemin studied the formation. An idea began forming. What if we don't go through the fleet? What if we go around? They worked through the night, building a strategy. It was risky. It required perfect coordination between human flexibility and Velrin precision. But it could work. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the combat zone. The Scorn Vanguard was there, as predicted. 27 massive ships, dark and angular like space itself, had been carved into weapons. They've detected us, Jungi announced. They're forming attack formation. All ships, battle positions, Taemin ordered. Remember the plan. Velrin, hold the line. Humans, you're with me. The Scorn fleet advanced. They were larger, stronger, and more numerous. But Taemin had faced worse odds before. Or at least that's what he told himself. They're launching fighters, Minseo called out. Hundreds of them. Velrin cruisers, defensive formation beta, Kalith commanded. Her voice was utterly calm. Link your shields. Create the wall. The Velrin ships moved as one organism, forming a barrier of overlapping energy shields. The Scorn fighters slammed into it like waves hitting a cliff. The shields held. Human destroyers flanking maneuver now, Taemin said. Hyejin's determination led 5 other human ships in a wide arc around the battle. They moved fast, engines pushed to maximum. The Scorn tried to intercept, but the Velrin wall kept them occupied. "We're in position," Hyejin reported. "I have a shot at their support vessels." "Take it." Human ships struck from an unexpected angle. Missiles and plasma fire tore into the Scorn rear guard. 2 enemy ships exploded. 3 more took heavy damage. The Scorn fleet turned to face the new threat. That was the moment Kaleth was waiting for. "Velrin forward ships concentrated fire on target Alpha 7, she commanded. "All linked weapons now." 20 Velrin ships fired as one. Their weapons were synchronized through the psionic network, hitting the exact same spot on a Scorn cruiser's hull. The ship's shields couldn't handle the perfectly coordinated assault. They collapsed. The ship broke apart. "They're confused," Jungi said with satisfaction. "They don't know which threat to prioritize." "Keep them confused," Taemin ordered. "All human ships, randomize your attack patterns. Don't let them predict you." The battle turned into controlled chaos. Velrin ships held formation, providing a stable center. Human ships darted in and out, striking from unexpected angles. The Scorn, used to straightforward combat, struggled to adapt, but they were still powerful. A Scorn battleship locked onto the human frigate Dawnrunner and fired. The frigate's shields collapsed under the assault. "Dawnrunner is hit," Mincio reported. "Major damage. They're venting atmosphere." "Verath, can you get a shield over them?" Kaleth asked. "We're too far. They'll be destroyed before we reach them." Taemin didn't think. He just acted. "Hyejin with me. We're getting them out." The determination and unity broke formation, racing toward the crippled Dawnrunner. Scorn fighters swarmed them. Taemin gritted his teeth as weapons fire shook the ship. "I really hope you know what you're doing," Jungi muttered. They reached the Dawnrunner just as another Scorn salvo was charging. Hyejin positioned her ship between the frigate and the battleship, her shields taking the hit meant for the crippled vessel. "Shields at 30%, Hyejin reported calmly. That got their attention. "Evacuate the Dawnrunner crew to my ship," Taemin ordered. "We've got maybe 2 minutes before they fire again." The evacuation was desperate. Crew members jumped between ships using emergency tethers. Some didn't make it. Taemin watched helplessly as one human soldier, Chanwu, was caught by debris. He died trying to save others. "We have to go," Jungi urged. "The battleship is charging weapons." 5 more seconds, Taemin said. "There are still people over there." "Taemin, 5 more seconds." They got everyone they could. As unity and determination pulled away, the Scorn battleship fired. The Dawnrunner exploded in a ball of plasma, but then something unexpected happened. A Velrin ship, the Light's Edge, commanded by an officer named Lissa, put itself between the Scorn battleship and the retreating human vessels. "What is she doing?" Kaleth said, horror in her voice. Lissa's voice came over the comm. "The humans save their own. We save ours. All species, all warriors, all one." Her ship's engines went to full power. She rammed the Scorn battleship at maximum speed. Both ships exploded in a brilliant flash. The battle ended quickly after that. The remaining Scorn ships, seeing the level of cooperation and the willingness to sacrifice, retreated. They jumped to hyperspace, leaving the field to the combined fleet. But victory felt hollow. The Unity's medical bay was full. Chanwu and 7 other humans were dead. Lysa and her entire crew were gone. That night they held a funeral service. Human and Velrin traditions were combined. Taemin spoke for Chanwu, describing his bravery. Kaleth sang a Velrin death chant for Lissa, her voice hauntingly beautiful. "She saved us," Hyejin said quietly. "She didn't have to, but she did." "Chanwu saved them first," Verith replied. "We have learned from each other. Not just tactics, but honor." Later, Taemin and Kaleth stood alone on the observation deck. "The stars seemed colder now. That was only the vanguard," Kaleth said. "Mincio's latest report shows the main Scorn fleet is 3 times that size. 80 ships or more. We beat 27, Taemin said. We can beat 80, can we?" Taemin thought about Chanwu's sacrifice, about Lissa ramming the battleship, about human and Velrin crews working together, dying together. "Yes," he said finally, "because we're not fighting as humans or Velrin anymore. We're fighting as one force, and that's something the Scorn have never faced before." Kaleth looked at him with those violet eyes. For the first time since he met her, he thought he saw hope there. "Then let us be ready," she said. "When the storm arrives, we will face it together." The main Scorn fleet arrived exactly when Mincio predicted. 83 ships, each one massive and bristling with weapons. They emerged from hyperspace at the Axiom Gate, a strategic point that controlled access to council space. Taimin stood on the Bridge of Unity, watching the sensor readings with growing concern. We're outnumbered 2-1, maybe more. Numbers are not everything, Kalith said beside him. She seemed unnaturally calm. We have something they lack. What's that? Unity, she said simply. The combined fleet had grown since the Vanguard battle. Word of the human Velrin cooperation had spread. Other council species sent ships. Not many, but enough to matter. The fleet now numbered 47 vessels, plus support craft and fighter squadrons, still badly outnumbered. But no one was talking about retreat. All commanders, this is Taimin. Final briefing in 10 minutes, command deck. The strategy room filled quickly. Human captains like Hyejin and Sung Ho mixed with Velrin officers like Varath and Nixara. Also present were representatives from 3 other species who had joined the defense. Taimin activated the tactical display. The Scorn will come through the gate here. We can't stop them from entering, but we can control where the battle happens. We use the asteroid field, Kalith continued, highlighting an area near the gate. It will limit their ability to use superior numbers. They'll have to come at us in smaller groups. Velrin ships establish firing positions in the asteroids, Vareth suggested. We create interlocking fields of fire. And human ships stay mobile, Hyejin added. We hit their flanks, force them to spread out even more. What about their alpha ship? Jungi asked. It'll be protected just like last time. Taimin smiled. That's where it gets interesting. Nixara, this is your part. The Velrin psionic specialist stepped forward. Her luminescent skin seemed to pulse with energy. I will lead a team of psionic warriors directly into the Scorn command network. We will create confusion, false orders, disruption, while they are distracted internally. Human strike teams board the Alpha ship, Taimin finished. We take it from the inside while they're blind. Shung-Ho whistled. That's insane, I love it. It's risky, Varath said. If the psionic assault fails, the boarding teams will be trapped. If we don't take risks, we lose by default, Kalith replied. The Scorn expect conventional warfare, we give them something else. The commanders dispersed to their ships. Taimin found himself alone with Kalith for a moment. You know there's a good chance we don't survive this, he said quietly. I have known that since I became a warrior, Kalith replied. Death is always close, but dying while truly fighting with true allies, that is a warrior's honor. Very Velrin, Taimin said with a slight smile. Very warrior, she corrected. Human, Velrin, it doesn't matter. Warriors understand. The Scorn fleet came through the gate like a dark tide. Their ships were enormous, ancient things covered in weapons. They moved in perfect formation, confident in their power. They've detected us, Minseo reported. Changing course toward our position. All ships, battle positions, Taimin commanded. Make them come to us. The Velrin vessels settled into the asteroid field, their shields interlocking to create defensive zones. Human ships took up patrol positions, engines hot and ready to move. The Scorn advanced into the asteroids. Immediately their formation had to adjust. The massive rocks forced them to spread out exactly as planned. Velrin, begin, Kalith said. 20 Velrin ships opened fire simultaneously. Their linked weapons targeted weak points in Scorn shields with perfect precision. 3 enemy ships took critical damage in the first salvo. The Scorn returned fire, but the asteroids protected the Velrin positions. Plasma blasts hit rocks instead of ships. Human squadrons, engage flanks, Taimin ordered. Hyejin's determination led a group of destroyers in a high-speed attack run. They came from above the asteroid field, hitting the Scorn formation from an angle they hadn't protected. Missiles and plasma fire tore into unshielded hulls. They're trying to surround us, Jungi warned. Scorn cruisers moving to cut off our retreat. We're not retreating, Taimin said. Shung-Ho, take your group and smash those cruisers. The battle turned into chaos. Scorn ships tried to establish firing positions, but human vessels kept moving, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. Velrin maintained their defensive positions, creating zones of devastating firepower that the Scorn couldn't push through. But the Scorn were learning. They began targeting the asteroids themselves, destroying cover. Velrin ships had to relocate constantly. "We're taking losses," Vareth reported. 2 Velrin frigates destroyed. Human destroyer Tempest is crippled. "Hold the line," Kalith commanded. "Nixara, it's time. Begin the psionic assault." Nixara and 5 other Velrin psionics sat in a specially shielded room aboard Unity. They closed their eyes and their skin began to glow brighter. Tamian could feel something in the air like static before a storm. "We are entering their network," Nixara said, her voice distant. "So many minds, so much rage. It's difficult." "Can you do it?" Taman asked. "We? Yes. Planting false coordinates now. The Scorn commanders think their Alpha ship is under direct attack from their left flank. They're repositioning shields." "That's our opening," Taman said. "Hae-jin, Dong-hyun, Yoon-ji, you're with me. Boarding operation is go." 3 human ships broke from the main battle, racing toward the Scorn Alpha. It was a monster of a vessel, easily 5 times the size of any Council ship. But its shields were repositioned wrong, leaving a gap. "This is going to be rough," Dong-hyun said over the comm. He piloted a small assault craft following close behind Taman's shuttle. They hit the Alpha ship's hull hard. Magnetic clamps engaged, cutting torches activated. Within seconds they breached the outer hull and boarded. Inside the Scorn ship was darkness and heat. The air was thick with strange chemicals. Taman's squad moved fast, following blueprints Daon had pieced together from previous encounters. "Command deck should be 3 levels up," Yoonji said. She carried a plasma rifle and had already taken down 2 Scorn warriors who tried to stop them. Scorn were huge creatures, like armored bears with too many arms. They were strong and vicious, but they were also confused. Nixara's psionic assault was working. Enemy warriors attacked each other, thought they saw threats that weren't there, or simply stood frozen in place. Taman's squad reached the command deck. The door was massive, reinforced. Dong-hyun placed shaped charges. "Fire in the hole." The explosion tore through the door. The squad rushed in, weapons ready. The Scorn War Master was there, a creature even larger than its warriors. It roared when it saw the humans, and despite the psionic confusion, it knew they were real enemies. The fight was brutal. The War Master was fast for its size and incredibly strong. It killed 2 human soldiers in the first seconds. Tae-min dodged, a strike that would have crushed his skull, his cybernetic arm blocking a second blow. Yoonji fired her rifle point-blank into the creature's side. It roared in pain but didn't fall. It grabbed her and threw her across the room. She hit a wall and didn't get up. "Now you're making me angry," Taman muttered. He activated his arm's maximum power output. The servos whined, red lights flashing warnings. He didn't care. He grabbed the War Master's arm and twisted. The sound of breaking bone was satisfying. The creature howled. Dong-hyun drove a plasma blade into its back. Together, they brought it down. "Command deck secured," Taman gasped into his comm. "Shutting down Alpha ship systems now." Outside, the effect was immediate. The Scorn fleet lost coordination. Ships that had been working together suddenly acted independently. Their formation collapsed. "Now!" Kalith's voice rang across the fleet comm. "All ships, concentrated assault, break them!" The combined fleet surged forward. Velrin and human ships attacked together, their tactics perfectly synchronized after months of practice. What had been a tough battle turned into a rout. Scorn ships began exploding. Others tried to retreat but ran into each other in their panic. Within an hour, it was over. The Scorn fleet was destroyed or scattered. The Axiom Gate was secure, but the victory came with a price. Taemin returned to Unity to find the casualty reports waiting. 17 ships lost. Hundreds of warriors dead or wounded. Yoonji was in critical condition. The medical bay was overwhelmed. Taemin found Kalith in the observation deck, staring at the debris field that had been a battle. "We won," she said without emotion. "Yes. It doesn't feel like winning." Taemin understood. Every warrior who died had been someone's friend, someone's family. Human or Velrin or other species, it didn't matter. They were all losses. They died protecting something, Taemin said. That matters. Does it? It has to. They stood in silence, watching recovery teams search for survivors. In the wreckage, human and Velrin ships worked side by side, just as they had fought side by side. The galaxy will hear of this, Kaleth said eventually. Two species, once enemies in an arena, now fighting as one. Defeating a threat that seemed impossible. You think it'll make a difference? Taemin asked. I think, Kaleth said slowly, that we've proven something important. That cooperation is stronger than size. That unity defeats numbers. She looked at him. That warriors can find common ground regardless of where they come from. We did it together, Taemin said. Neither of us could have won alone. No, Kaleth agreed. But together? Together we are formidable. Outside the wood, the celebration lasted exactly 1 day. Then Mincio discovered something in the Scorn communication logs that made everyone's blood run cold. The fleet we destroyed wasn't the main force, she said, her voice shaking. It was the second wave. The actual main Scorn armada is 3 times larger and will arrive in 72 hours. The command room went silent. Taemin felt his stomach drop. How many ships? Best estimate? 240. That's impossible, Verath said. We can't fight that many. No one can, but Kaleth stood straighter. Then we make it possible. We have no choice. The Galactic Council authorized every available ship to join the defense. The combined fleet grew to 90 vessels, the largest unified force in Council history. But against 240 Scorn warships, it still seemed hopeless. Taemin and Kaleth worked for 3 days straight, barely sleeping, planning every detail of the defense. They knew this would be the final battle. Either they won here, or the Scorn would sweep through Council space unchecked. We need something new, Taemin said, staring at tactical projections. Everything we've done before, they'll be ready for now. Kaleth nodded. The Scorn learn slowly, but they learn. They've seen our coordination. They'll try to break it. What if we didn't just coordinate? Taemin said slowly. What if we fully integrated? Explain. Human ships join the Velrin psionic network, not as separate units working together, but as one single organism. Velrin precision with human unpredictability, combined in every single ship. Kaleth considered this. It's never been done. Humans aren't psionic. The connection might not work. Or it might work better than anyone expects, Taemin countered. Isn't that what we've been proving all along? That different doesn't mean incompatible. They brought in Nyxara to test the theory. She was still recovering from the psionic assault during the last battle, but she agreed to try. Close your eyes, she told Taemin. Empty your mind. Feel the ship around you. Feel the crew, feel everything. Taemin tried. It was difficult. His mind kept racing, planning, worrying. But slowly he felt something. A presence, Nyxara's consciousness touching his. Don't fight it, she said softly. Accept it. The sensation grew stronger. Suddenly Taemin could feel the unity, truly feel it. Every system, every crew member, every thought. And beyond that, other ships, Velrin vessels in the fleet connected through the network. I see it, he whispered. Now push, Nyxara said. Push your own thoughts into the network. Show us your chaos, your creativity. Taemin did. He thought about improvisation, about adapting on the fly, about controlled chaos. The network rippled. Some Velrin commanders gasped as they felt something new entering their perfect coordination. Remarkable, Verath said over the comm. It's like organized disorder. I can see multiple strategies simultaneously. Every ship can adapt while maintaining the whole. Will it work in battle? Kaleth asked. Only one way to find out, Taemin said. The Scorn main armada arrived at the Axiom Gate exactly on schedule. 240 ships blotted out the stars. They moved in a formation so large it could barely fit through the gate at once. All ships activate integration protocol, Kaleth commanded. Psionic network extended to all vessels. Human and Velrin, we fight as one. Taemin felt the network expand. 90 ships, thousands of minds, all connected. It was overwhelming and beautiful. He could sense Heejin's determination, Seungho's tactical mind, Verath's calm precision, Donghyun's engineering genius, all of them together. The Scorn are moving, Jungi reported. They're advancing in force. No subtlety, just overwhelming power. Let them come, Taemin said. All ships execute Pattern Omega. What happened next had never been seen in galactic warfare. 90 ships moved as a single entity, but within that entity, every vessel maintained individual creativity. They formed intricate patterns, created traps, executed feints. The Velrin provided the structure, the humans provided the chaos, and together they created something entirely new. The scorn hit them like a hammer, but the combined fleet wasn't there. They'd moved, reorganized, and struck back from 3 different angles simultaneously. Scorn ships exploded before they understood what happened. They're trying to flank, Varath called out. 70 ships breaking left. Let them, Kalith said. It's what we want. The flanking force found itself in a perfect kill zone. Velrin heavy cruisers had been waiting, positioned exactly where the Scorn would go. The trap closed. 20 Scorn ships died in seconds, but the Scorn kept coming. They had numbers and they used them. They accepted losses that would make any other species retreat. For every Scorn ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. We're being pushed back, Hee-Jin reported. Her ship had taken heavy damage. Shields at 20%. Sung-Ho, reinforce her position, Taemin ordered. Through the network, he felt Sung-Ho's acknowledgement before the officer even spoke. The battle raged for hours. Ships exploded on both sides. The combined fleet fought brilliantly, but the numbers were overwhelming. Slowly, inevitably, they were being pushed back from the gate. We can't hold, Varath said. We've lost 30 ships. The Scorn still have over 100. We need to change the game again, Taemin said. Kalith, remember what you said about the Alpha ship? How killing it disrupts their command. Yes, but this fleet has 5 Alpha ships. Killing one won't be enough. What if we kill all 5 at once? Kalith looked at him. That's impossible. They're spread across the entire fleet. Not for us, Taemin said. He opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships, I'm about to ask for something insane. I need 5 boarding teams willing to strike all 5 Alpha ships simultaneously. It's a suicide mission. But if we succeed, we win. The responses came immediately. Too many volunteers. They had to choose. Taemin would lead one team himself. Hee-Jin took a second. A Velrin commander named Theron took the third. Donghyun volunteered for the fourth. And Kalith, despite Taemin's protests, insisted on leading the fifth. We command together, she said. We fight together. The network will coordinate your attacks, Nixara said. When all teams are in position, you'll strike as one. The Scorn won't know which threat to respond to. The 5 teams launched in small assault craft, weaving through the massive battle. The network guided them, showing safe paths through the chaos. Scorn fighters tried to intercept, but the combined fleet created corridors of protection. Taemin's team hit their Alpha ship hard. The boarding was brutal. Scorn warriors were waiting this time, ready for human tactics. Taemin's squad fought through corridor after corridor, losing soldiers with every step. Through the network, he felt the other teams. Hee-Jin was pinned down but holding. Theron had reached his command deck. Donghyun was injured but still pushing forward. And Kalith. Kalith was fighting like a storm given form, her crystal blades cutting through enemies with perfect precision. All teams report, Taemin gasped, taking cover as plasma fire scorched the wall beside him. Status? Command deck in sight, Hee-Jin said. 30 seconds out, Theron reported. Almost there, Donghyun grunted through pain. Ready. Kalith's voice was calm despite the sounds of combat behind her. Wait for my signal, Taemin said. His team breached the final door to their command deck. The War Master there was expecting them, but through the network, Taemin could sense its thoughts, predict its movements. His cybernetic arm moved with impossible precision, his weapon finding weak points in armor. The War Master fell. All teams now, Taemin commanded. Through the network, he felt it. 5 command decks, 5 War Masters, all falling at the exact same moment. The synchronization was perfect. The effect on the Scorn fleet was catastrophic. Without commanders, without coordination, without orders, they panicked. Ships collided with each other. Weapons fired randomly. The perfect formation collapsed into chaos. All ships, final push. Kalith's voice rang through the fleet. End this. The combined fleet surged forward. Every ship attacking with perfect unity while maintaining individual creativity. It was devastating. Scorn vessels exploded by the dozens. The survivors tried to retreat, but there was nowhere to go. When the battle ended, the debris field stretched for thousands of kilometers. The Scorn main armada was destroyed. But the cost was terrible. 40 ships lost from the combined fleet. Thousands dead. Dong-hyun was killed by an explosion seconds after completing his mission. Hee-jin's ship was crippled beyond repair. Taemin himself was badly wounded, his cybernetic arm damaged and his natural body broken in a dozen places. But they had won. The Scorn threat was over. Taemin woke in medical bay 3 days later. The first thing he saw was Kalith sitting beside his bed. She looked exhausted but unharmed. "We won," she said simply. "Did we?" Taemin asked, thinking of all those who died. "Yes. The Scorn are retreating from Council space entirely, and the galaxy now knows what happens when species truly unite." She paused. "They're calling you a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just a soldier who got lucky." "You're a warrior," Kalith corrected. "As am I, as were all those who fell." She stood. "Rest now? When you heal, we have work to do. The Council wants us to formalize the Human-Velrin alliance, make it permanent." "You mean they want us to keep working together?" "I mean 6 months after the final battle, the memorial station was completed. It floated in space near the Axiom Gate where so many had fallen. The structure was beautiful, designed by both human and Velrin architects working together. It looked like a crystal flower with metal petals, catching starlight and scattering it in patterns that seemed to dance. Taemin stood at the dedication ceremony, his body finally healed but carrying new scars. His cybernetic arm had been upgraded, stronger now, with small crystal elements integrated into the design, a gift from Velrin engineers who insisted that he carry a piece of their people with him. Beside him stood Kalith, wearing formal armor that somehow managed to be both beautiful and clearly functional. No one would mistake her for decoration now. Not after what she had done, what they had all done together. The gathering was massive. Representatives from every council species attended. Human dignitaries, including Jiwoo, who had been promoted to chief ambassador. Velrin leaders, including several who had initially opposed working with humans. And hundreds of warriors from both species, survivors of the battles. The council leader, the six-armed being who had witnessed that first disastrous meeting, stepped forward to speak. "We gathered to honor the fallen, human, Velrin, and all species who fought in the Scorn War. But we also gathered to celebrate what they achieved. Not just victory in battle, but proof that unity is possible." Names were read. So many names. Chanwoo, who died protecting Velrin warriors. Lissa, who sacrificed her ship for humans. Dong-hyun, who completed his mission knowing he wouldn't survive. Yoonji, who died of her wounds a week after the final battle. Hundreds more. Each name was followed by silence. Human military silence and Velrin meditation silence, mixed together until they became the same thing. When the reading ended, Kalith stepped forward to speak. Her voice carried across the assembly. "I came to the council demanding respect, demanding to be seen as a warrior, not as something cute or decorative or weak. I was angry because I thought humans, like so many species before them, would judge me by my appearance." She paused, looking at Taemin. "I was wrong. Not about the judgment that happened, but about what would come after. Because humans did something few species have done. They learned. They looked past appearances and saw warriors. They fought beside us, bled beside us, died beside us." She gestured to the memorial behind her. "These names represent more than sacrifice. They represent the moment when two species stopped being separate and became one force. When we proved that cooperation is stronger than size, that unity defeats numbers, that warriors can find common ground regardless of where they come from." She stepped back. It was Taemin's turn. He walked forward slowly, still getting used to his repaired body. When he spoke, he kept his voice simple and direct. "I met Commander Kalith in a moment of cultural stupidity. I said something that insulted her and her people. She challenged me to combat, and I accepted because I had no choice." Some in the audience chuckled quietly. "But that fight changed everything. Kalith taught me that assumptions are dangerous, that beauty and deadliness aren't opposites, that the mark of a true warrior isn't just how they fight, but how they rise above prejudice and prove their worth through actions." He looked at the assembled crowd. "Humans are new to the galaxy. We're still learning, still making mistakes. But the Velrin showed us that being different is an advantage, not a weakness. They showed us what perfect coordination looks like. And we showed them what controlled chaos could do. Together we became something neither species could be alone." He touched his cybernetic arm, feeling the crystal elements. We carry pieces of each other now, in our technology, in our tactics, in our hearts. The warriors who died made that possible. They died not as humans or Velrin, but as brothers and sisters in battle. That's their legacy. That's what we must protect. After the ceremony, there was a reception. Human food and Velrin sustenance side by side. Warriors from both species mixed freely now, sharing stories and laughter. The barriers that had seemed so solid 6 months ago had simply dissolved. Hye-jin approached Taemin, walking with a slight limp from her injuries. The new combined fleet is forming next week. 25 joint cruise ships. They want you and Kalith to command. Did they ask us? Taemin said with amusement. They assumed you'd say yes. Was that wrong? Taemin looked across the room where Kalith was speaking with Verath and Seong-ho, all three of them gesturing animatedly about some tactical concept. No, that wasn't wrong. Jiwoo joined them holding a data pad. The Council is establishing permanent exchange programs. Human warriors will train at Velrin academies. Velrin warriors will attend human military schools. Cultural liaisons like So-jin are already developing joint training protocols. That's good, Taemin said. The next generation should grow up knowing cooperation, not learning it through war. There's more, Jiwoo continued. They want to create a new branch of Council military, humans and Velrin at its core, but open to all species willing to truly integrate, not just alliance fleets that work together but actual unified forces. Revolutionary, Hye-jin said. Necessary, Jiwoo corrected. The scorn proved that the old way doesn't work. Separate forces, even allied ones, can't face existential threats. We need unity. Later that evening, Taemin found himself alone with Kalith on the observation deck of the memorial station. Stars stretched endlessly around them, peaceful and quiet. Do you ever think about that first meeting? Kalith asked. How badly it went. All the time, Taemin admitted. I was an idiot. You were ignorant. There's a difference. Idiots don't learn. She smiled slightly. You learned? We both did. You learned that not all species would keep judging you. I learned to look past what my eyes showed me. They stood in comfortable silence for a while. Then Kalith spoke again. I have lived my entire life fighting to be recognized as a warrior. Every day proving myself. Every battle showing that Velrin are more than our appearance. It was exhausting. Past tense? Taemin asked. Yes, because now when I enter a room, other warriors see me. Not as a Velrin. Not as beautiful or delicate or strange. Just as a warrior. As one of them. As their equal. She looked at him. You gave me that. Humanity gave me that. You earned it yourself, Taemin said. We just finally had the sense to notice. And you? Kalith asked. Are you still the young species, the newcomers, always proving yourselves? Taemin thought about it. About how other species looked at humans now. With respect, yes. But also with curiosity and openness. Maybe we'll always be the newcomers, he said. But now we're the newcomers who fought beside the Velrin, who integrated our forces with yours, who helped save the galaxy. He smiled. That's not a bad reputation. No, Kalith agreed. It's not, a chime sounded. Verath's voice came over the comm. Commanders, you're needed at the strategy session. The Council is discussing expansion of the joint forces. We're coming, Kalith replied. She looked at Taemin. Ready to build something new? With you? Always. They walked together toward the command center, two warriors from different worlds, now permanent partners in defending the galaxy. Behind them, through the windows, the memorial caught starlight and threw it across space in brilliant patterns. In the assembly hall they were leaving, younger warriors were gathering. Human and Velrin mixing naturally, sharing techniques and stories. One young human soldier was showing a Velrin recruit how to adapt tactics on the fly. A Velrin officer was teaching a human about psionic meditation. This was the future. Not perfect unity where everyone was the same, but beautiful diversity where differences were advantages. Taemin thought about all those names on the memorial, all those who had died to make this possible. They would never be forgotten. Their sacrifice had bought not just victory but transformation. The galaxy was changing. Slowly maybe, but genuinely, because two warriors had fought in an arena and learned to see past appearances. Because crews had fought together and died together until the barriers between them disappeared. Because when faced with extinction, species had chosen unity over tradition. As they entered the strategy room, filled with mixed human Velrin command staff all working together seamlessly, Taman felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not naive hope that everything would be perfect, but warrior's hope. The kind that knew challenges would come, but believed they could be overcome. Together. Commanders, Sung-ho greeted them. We were just discussing the new academy. We need instructors who understand both human and Velrin methods. I know some people, Kalith said with a smile. The meeting began. Plans were made, strategies discussed, futures built, and through it all, human and Velrin minds worked together, creating something neither could have created alone. In the end, they were not cute, not decorative, not weak. They were warriors, all of them, together, and that made all the difference.